and I was always motivated by that. But I like to be equally motivated to stand against what is wrong when my morals and my principles are being pushed against, questioned, or violated. And at this point, especially this point in history, I feel like it would take somebody like him to create a monumental shift. Because even with LeBron doing something like opening a school, if you were to have somebody like Jordan do the same thing, that's a trickle down effect. Now every player that plays in the league with your shoes on is going to feel that pressure to do something equally as great or greater. And the reason they're going to feel that way is because everybody's chasing Jordan. He's the greatest of all time when it comes to basketball. Like everybody gets compared to him when they're great. Everybody gets compared to him when they are putting up numbers that are outrageous, so they have a certain playing style. So it's like once you set a bar, and he is most definitely a person that can set a bar. I just wish somebody like him would do the same.
It's interesting. Thinking about Jordan and a person that I really follow. Bomani Jones. He talks about this kind of topics at length. And an example, what he always says is, be careful who you want to speak out on everything because you don't always know where they lie.
Right.
And further to that example is Tiger Woods.
Yep. Who
recently, was asked about, how people receive the current president. And he, to a certain respect, caped up for the president.
Yep.
And saying, like, you have to respect the office, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And it's interesting coming from him who, especially coming, like you and I both, Corey, from the black community, and,
yep.
We all know about Tiger's, vehemence that he doesn't consider himself black.
Yeah.
And, you have that, and then we also leaning into Kanye's relationship with the current president. And these are two highly influential people who could use their voice for something that could be galvanizing, but it's turning out to be more divisive than anything.
Yeah.
So you have someone who doesn't really share, or at least share beliefs that you feel are beneficial to your community. Speaking out, adamantly, then it's kind of more detrimental. And what LeBron's done with the school is admirable, is excellent. Looking at all the benefits that is going out to his community. We're talking about, paid college tuitions for graduates who, if they want to pursue a degree at the University of Akron. We're talking about job placement for some of the parents. And we're talking about a bike. We're talking about things that these kids might not even only dream of experiencing growing up. And there's nothing you could say negative about that. And there have been people, I think looking at examples of, Jalen Rose is someone who also opened a school up in Michigan, but his star is less powerful than LeBron's. So you might have someone who's trying to mimic what LeBron's doing, but if they don't have that star power, that cachet to reach out to the larger audience, they could easily go missed. Yeah. But to LeBron's credit, that's a big burden to shoulder. When you have a school, you have kids' futures pretty much resting on your shoulders. While you're trying to play a game, you're trying to support your family through professional basketball, which is highly predicated on physical superiority over the opposition and consistent, greatness. It's not easy for someone to maintain. So I gotta give him credit, even though I'm not the biggest LeBron fan.
Yeah,
but you can't take anything from the man for that.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to too, man. Because and it's funny because I had a similar conversation, both sides of that conversation with a veteran outside of work recently, who also wasn't a LeBron fan, but regardless of what he just did, still had nothing positive to say about the man. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you can hate the man all you want, but you kind of got to get to the point where you respect what he's doing and what he's trying to do. And the reason the conversation was being had in the first place, because in relation to the Tiger Woods comment, he was like, well, that is kind of true, because you are supposed to respect the office. And that is one thing that's drilled into the military and stuff like that. But where that went out the window, though, was when people were out, making racist cartoons of President Obama, and how you had
exactly
how you had certain people refusing to even refer to him as the president. Like,
they still say he wasn't American. They said he was an alien or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, all right, and when you look at the chain of command from a veteran standpoint, the commander-in-chief sits at the top of it, and your duty is to respect the chain of command whether you like it or not. And although the point was valid, that point, honestly, and I will say this 100%, no holds back, like that point went completely out the window when I sat back and watched for 8 years the office of the President of the United States be completely disrespected without reason. That takes credibility away from the position and the power, and that really made me revert back to my number one principle is I will always respect the man over the job. So, so if you're a respectable man, I'll respect you. But if you're not, well, fuck you. And when I went into the military, I was like, well, that might be how you feel. However, the commander-in-chief is at the top of the chain of command. But, and I mean, I really reverted back to this toward the end of my military career, and that is, don't confuse your rank with your ability to get your ass kicked. So,
yes, I mean, interrupt you, but what exactly does respect the office mean? To a civilian, I understand what it means to a soldier or anyone who's serving, like anyone in the government. But to me, nothing. As a civilian, I have no access to the president. So what are we talking about? I was like, I mean, you can't say respect the office, but you also have a right to. You also have your constitutional right to voice displeasure.
Yeah.
And to your earlier point, the current president disrespected the office larger than anyone ever did when Obama was in office.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I think people use that conveniently when they want you to lay off of the guy that they support. And if you work in a corporation where you don't like your leadership and you go home and talk about how you don't like it, are you saying you're disrespecting the organizational chart of your corporation? Nobody says that stupid shit. They don't use that when they're sensitive about what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, too, because, I mean, to your point, the office technically means absolutely nothing to the regular civilian. You still got your right to voice your discord with it. You got the right to do it, say whatever you want to about it. Because, you're not bound by any UCMJ or, anything that's going to stop you or prevent you from doing whatever. But on top of that, he was one of the biggest disrespectful people when it came to the office previously. And even then, to that same point, it was one of the things I largely ignored because, we are in America and, you can do and say whatever you feel like, and whether we like it or not, whether people are for or against us, whether people's views align with ours or not, that's the right that you have. But my thing is, when he was doing it and when other was doing it, it was largely accepted and nobody did or said anything about it because, at the time we had a very high road president. Now, on the opposite side of that, the current POTUS is out taking people clearances that oppose him. He is out trying to end the careers of people that went against him, when technically, even politically, it's their right to do so. But when they're going against you because you've actually committed federal offenses, well, and they may or may not have worked in organizations where they had access to some of the information that proves that you committed federal offenses, but you got the right to, and the power to end jobs and take access away to classified information, and man, something about that not only is an abuse of power, it's dictatorish in how it's being done. And as a person that's both served and has worked in a capacity where I've been on both sides of this, I'm like, all right, so what does it look like? Somebody is upset with me because I didn't agree with them. And they're like, well, you know what? I'm about to take your clearance, which is an extremely, extremely hard thing to get back. Because
why is it hard to get back?
Well, it's hard to get back because of the fact that there's a very, very long investigation that goes into you getting it in the first place, especially the clearances that people have on his level. And secondly, usually when the government takes anything from you for any reason, they probably just not going to give it back. That's usually how I go. It's like you losing a government job. You're not just about to bounce back into it. And people could know that you were actually wronged. It's just that the process, first of all, honestly, to fire a government person is so ridiculously outrageous that people don't do it. And the process to rehire somebody after being released or having your clearance taken by the government is equally ridiculous, because what it implies is you're not trustworthy with one, national security information, and you are not willing to do what it takes to protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. You have a level of incompetence that has caused someone to take your clearance and or your job. But in these cases, primarily the clearance. Mm-hmm. But still, I'm like, people know this. It's put on display, but you have still directly went against the principle of the fact that politically, if people disagree with you, they just disagree with you. You're still the president of the United States. They don't necessarily have to agree with you.
Right.
Yeah, that's just the bottom line. You still technically hold all the power. It's not a huge deal if somebody disagrees with you, but you are literally so petty that you take somebody's clearance. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'm on a bit of a rant, but still, man, I'm like, man, that's just so outrageous to me, man, because I feel like that is disrespectful in and of itself. Like, you're disrespecting the position by using unnecessary power for personal purposes. Like, that's just, it's fucking dumb.
Very dumb.
Yeah, especially where we're in a country where we're supposed to have the freedom of speech and the free. I'm supposed to be able to say whatever the hell I want. Well, I can't personally, but still, and like, you know,
black people don't have that, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and it'd be all good. But somebody, you know, disagree with you and you boo hoo all the way to Twitter and take somebody's clearance.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you're gonna do is shut down Google. Y'all be careful out there, Google, man. This ain't easy in these streets.
Well, that brings you to another point. Like, do you think that with today, where it's almost like if you have a voice of opposition, you're pretty much flirting with danger to the point where you can lose your job or you can lose your, you know, whatever you have because of if it's against the majority, you're about to get screwed.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a fine line. Now, I said this to somebody recently, like, it's freedom of speech is all good until freedom of speech hurts your feelings, apparently, in this society. So everybody's politically correct. And I say that from the perspective of, and I mean, you know, people can take this however they want to, but I'm just going to be blatant right here. Like, I grew up in Griffin, Georgia, and, I mean, you'll hear nigger, cracker, wetback all over the place. And, you know, you just kind of look at each other like, you know what? I probably could knock you out, but I mean, what for? When that's the cultural norm here where I'm at, and technically, and it's funny because even in little hick towns like that, like it's technically understood. Really, what they did ain't against the law, and the reason that's understood, unfortunately, in towns like that, is because if you were to retaliate and do something against the law, you're gonna get the entire long arm of the law. Because nobody has done anything wrong by doing that. And it's like, I always laugh at stuff like the Boondocks, because there's an episode where, you know, Riley calls a dude gay, and he's like, well, I said he was gay because he was gay. I didn't really say it because, you know, I didn't say it because I felt like he was homosexual. anything like that. I literally said it because I know he's homosexual. I wasn't calling what he was doing was gay. I was using it as a reference to what it actually was. It was a factual statement.